Well, we've really done it now. Here we go. 11 and a half by 16. So hopefully this will work. We'll just keep going at it, but making progress. Okay, well, I mean, there's not much video. We're able to just frame in these sections, cut some boards, move them up. Still need to fill the cracks. But all in all, it's fine. I guess I'll show you the other side. So the other side is really simple for now. So we'll fill these cracks and secure this better with a strap or something like this, probably around here and around here. But it's fine. The door closes, so not really that crazy. Of course, it works off shore power, but we'll see how it goes once we add 200 more watts of solar to get up to 400. So it doesn't. Hey, well, welcome back to Recession Van Life. It's great to have you. Thanks for joining me today. So we're going to basically be going over. The video is mostly going to be about installing an additional 200 watt solar panel. What's basically happened is gotten through the winter. 2-3 weeks ago, we had lows in the 30s, and now this week, in the last few days, we had highs in the 90s. So this is very, very hot for sleeping. Obviously, it is very warm for doing any type of office work. I'm sure in this video there'll be some mashup as far as installing a window unit as well. Got a high efficiency, low wattage window units for $75 used off Facebook Marketplace. I'll talk about the economy really quick. Since I put out the original video, we've had Silicon Valley Bank taken over by the Fed, or the regulators, I should say. Also, the big story was Credit Suisse, which was a systemically important bank, going down and being bought out by UBS in Switzerland. So, I mean, this is huge. We also had Signature Bank, First Republic, I think Webster. There's a number of different banks that are having trouble. Commercial real estate in the United States is also struggling because of the interest rates, which is really the big story behind a lot of these banks getting into trouble. They essentially needed to chase some type of return, and so they either got into commercial real estate, primarily CMBS, or just got into longer duration, we call it, longer duration bonds that have a little bit higher payment that comes to the lender. So in this case, these banks were lending out deposits in order to kind of bring in some money, right? Well, that didn't work too well. So a lot of people have been covering the mark-to-market versus held-to-maturity, which basically, if you have a bond and you want to sell it early, you could imagine that it's possible that as things change around in the markets, that you may be holding an inferior product. I think that's the easiest way to think about it. For example, if I hold a 20-year U.S. bond and it pays 3% coupon every year in payments, so I get $30 on a $1,000 face value of a bond, so I get $30 every year. And then if the interest rates went up, so that the newer bonds paid me $50 every year, well, 50 would be a lot better, right? It'd be a lot better. So that's what I mean, an inferior product. Well, that's what happened to some of these banks. They were holding long-dated bonds that had an okay at the time interest return. You could call it the coupon was okay, but then things changed. Interest rates went up a lot. That means that the thing that they were holding was no longer worth as much as it was before. So what do? Well, they could change and they could say, well, we'll just hold this thing until it matures, which if you do that, I don't know what to say. It's kind of like saying those investors that say, like, you don't lose money unless you sell. So if they're down a lot on their positions, they just say, well, I'll just hold these shares for 40 years and eventually it's bound to rebound and I'll be fine. It's this kind of strategy. But anyways, so you can see here that I decided to use these same rails I used on the original install, and I went on Amazon. Prices have gone up. I think what I had purchased before, it was a kit that had 4 of these rails. I only needed 2 this time because last time I bought the 2 100 panel kit, and someone definitely pointed out it's half the amount of work if you just buy one 200 watt panel, which thinking back, I'm like, well, I should have done that. But you got the kit, and part of these companies are helping us because we don't really know, and it's nice to have all the little gadgets and trinkets into us all at once. So anyway, so when I did the first time is I got these rails. They're used usually for woodworking, and this one is a little bit different. These ones were, I don't know, $25 less, or it was even a bigger savings than that. It was was a significant savings. I think it was like $40 savings because I was only buying 2 rails instead of 4, and then these were cheaper. Anyways, what ended up happening is that there's this groove. Yeah, so I think if I shine that light in there like that, you can see that there's a groove where it's meant to accept a 1/4 inch hex bolt. So the head of the hex bolt will go in there, as well as a variation that has like a flat head. Well, anyways, these whatever are slightly different than the other ones I had. The ones I got originally, yeah, the 1/4 inch bolt, which is like very cheap, and you can get them just at any hardware store, worked fine. This I had some more trouble, so I ended up going and trying like millimeter, 7mm bolts, some different varieties. These brackets are nice. I mean, I'm sure I was thinking these are zinc or I think these are aluminum actually, but it's just this like cheap metal, and I'm sure the markup on these is like 800% for these companies. But it's how are you gonna attach them without these brackets? In this kit that you get from Renogy, you also get these. We talked about this before, but these are these self-tapping screws with the yeah. So these are these self-tapping screws with the hex heads, and you see you have a little bit of like a grommet or a rubber washer. These are self-tapping. So maybe they're thinking that people just want to drop these screws right through the roof of their vehicles. I didn't want to do that. I mean, if you imagine that you're going to put this here, the solar panel will rest on this, and then you're going to drop this self-tapping screw with this grommet through the roof of your vehicle. Yeah, okay, you could do that, but I mean, definitely water is going to come in under this, and so then maybe you have to put some kind of silicone all the way around the base of this in order to make sure that no water gets in the hole. Or you could, I just never liked that idea. I don't know, maybe I was overthinking it again, but anyway, so I decided not to go that way, and that's how I ended up doing these rails again. So the rails, really the idea is to clean the roof, and then put this very strong Sikaflex, especially designed for RVs, attaching, Mighty Max fans or whatever. So imagine, I mean, this whole thing is going to be flipped over, right? But basically, like, these bolts are going to be shooting up towards the sky, right? And so putting these nuts on from the top here and here, kind of has gravity working in our favor. So the same concept when you can kind of put these on loose because you want to be able to like slide them up and down these rails. And then really the first bolts that you're going to really tighten down are these ones right here. There's a bunch of pre-drilled holes already in these, the frames of these panels. And so the same thing, put the bolt in, going down with the head on this side so that your nut and your lock washer basically has gravity working in its favor. Now, one thing too to think of is, since I'm putting these on kind of second as an add-on, this is actually going to be towards the front of the vehicle. So I want to put, I want to control most of that big wind flap or whatever, as you imagine when you go by, say like a 14-wheeler or one of those big semi-trucks on the highway. So I think that's one thing to think about. And then this will kind of be the back end here. We'll run these and connect them into the other wiring that was coming off the other panels. So I don't think it's really that difficult of a job. Probably what I will do, because like I said, I don't love these rails, and there is a channel there, but it's not like there's a whole lot of material that the heads of those bolts are catching. And so I think I might come back later and just put, just once I get it how I want it and all installed, I'll come back with some liquid nails and just put that on there on the bottom side. Okay, so I'm just getting ready to sand down these rails. For about $8 or $9, you can get one of these sanding wheels, paint strippers, whatever they're called, and they just go into the electric drill. So I just want to rough these edges up a little bit here, just to give it a little bit better seal. The gloves on because I was up on the truck. Clean that off. That's going to be a little bit dirty. This is also going to be a little bit helpful to remove some of that stuck on dirt and Goo Gone degreaser. So, I mean, again, no real big deal, but it just is a lot of running around and getting little products and things that maybe you missed the first time you went to the hardware store or whatever. So, okay, well, we'll see you up on the truck next time we see ya. Okay, so I'm up here. I know it's so bright. I'm up here on the roof, and I'm working today over at my friend's place. He happened to be an electrical engineer, so he was really helpful. He said, before we got started, bring some cardboard boxes and try to cover these panels since it's so bright. And he also recommended going to the charge controller inside the truck and disconnecting the negative, or the negative wire that's coming from the solar panels. So all these panels dump into one wire, one negative wire and one positive wire that then feed into the charge controller. So he said if we disconnect the negative, like I just said, but the negative wire going, the negative solar panel wire going into the charge controller, that would be enough to like break the circuit, and so there wouldn't be any load. One of the reasons I bring that up is because when you go down and disconnect these, and these are these branch connectors, it says very specifically, like, don't disconnect these under load. So that's one thing I asked him. I said, what should we do? And he said, yeah. So just make that change at the charge controller. And we left the batteries hooked up, so that was fine. So what basically happened was these are pretty slick, actually. These are like industry standard. So I got a pack of these. You get, this is for the positive side. You get another one for the negative, which is right here. And so before, you could see where the spray paint was. It was just connected like this. So the two into one, and then the one, this goes the positive into the truck. So when I'm adding this third panel, we're adding this like this, just connecting it, just pushing in it, it clicks. And then we have one side for the one panel, that clicks. And then this also has the plus. So I guess the reds all have these red, little red washers. It's not really true because it's the negative side and there's a red washer. So this is maybe the red washer for the male versus the female. Anyways, so just plug and plug. And then the same thing on the negative. There's a little bit different branch connector on this side, but one from this panel and then one from this panel. And our other one came in down here at this lower branch connector. So hopefully that's comforting about how easy that is. One thing I was definitely concerned about was in the description they said, oh, there's 3 feet of cord. And I was like, I don't know if that sounds like a lot, like 3 feet, no problem. I'll show you. I don't know. I guess that's 3 feet. I feel like it's from my elbow to my fingertips. I'm 6 feet tall. So this is maybe, I would say, 2 feet above the top of the panel. So that was kind of the concern was, am I going to be able to squish all these together and get everything connected up? But I was able to, so that's good. Okay, so back on to preparing the surface.
Oh yeah, it's just speed drill, electric drill with a paint stripper or sander disc on there.
And a little, look at this, goof off? No, it used to be goop off. What is this knockoff thing with the GOOF? I don't think that's right. So now that I have that where I want it, just have a carpenter's pencil. I'm just going to, why am I doing all this? I'm going to draw, because I have this double-sided 3M tape that we talked about before. It's, yeah, it's 3M product, 16 feet. I think it was, I don't know, it's $20 maybe. But now that I have this where I want it, yeah, it's pretty hot today. I'm just going to draw a line here so I know where to put that tape. And then obviously I can go past the end because I think there's 16 feet on these rolls. Yeah, so but I want to make sure I at least have a nice guideline. And there's no way to really tell unless you build everything all together by putting these brackets on and assembling them and tightening them down and getting everything. That way you know for sure where these rails are going to sit on the truck. That way when you draw it, you know that nothing else is going to change. And so that's what I did last time. It worked great. So that's what I'm doing this time. So I weigh probably 170 pounds. And when I first got up here, I felt really nervous about, falling through or damaging the roof, but now it's pretty obvious that these roofs are pretty solid. And I'm not worried anymore about that. Even go over a little bit. Okay, so at the end of all that, I mean, really, you're applying some glue. Okay, so just like before, we've got this set on both sides. Plug these back in. Positive with the other positives. Here. This negative with the other negatives. Here. So snap, snap. So it's all the positives together. We just basically ordered and added this piece. I disconnected this side, put in this new piece, and then this was the old one coming in. This is the new one coming in. So now we have all three panels. You can see 1, 2, 3 reds there, and then under here is the 1, 2, 3, the minuses, the blacks. That's pretty much it. We'll go back in and reconnect the wire that's going back into the charge controller, and that should be it. The question is, if you have 400 watts of solar on a very nice, super sunny day, and you have 200 amp hours in batteries that are well charged, can you run the AC unit? Oh, we're about to find out. Let's do it. So, you can see it's charging, but the light's green. Again, 2 100 amp hour batteries, 750 watt inverter. This inverter, although I said I haven't liked it so much, does have like a peak or a momentary pull that it can handle up to 1500 watts. So I looked it up, and actually when this kicks on, it pulls 10 amps at startup and then 4 amps when it runs regularly on this little window unit. So let's see, 10 times 110, it's like 1100 watts, right? So we'll see how this goes. Here we go. Okay, low fan, no problem. Now will it do the compressor? Here we go. We either know or we won't know. Okay. Oh, it didn't work. Tripped our inverter. Alright, so we'll try it again. Here, just with the fan running, no problem. Which is okay, fine, but we would need 400 watts to run a fan. And we'll try it again. Maybe we'll put the temp all the way down to 1. We'll go to low cool. Here we go. No bueno. Okay. Third time's a charm, right? So, fan is good, temperature's down, everything else is off. Low cool. Trips the inverter. So maybe it's an inverter problem, since I went a little on the cheap side with the inverter, 750 watt inverter. Well, that's what we know. 3 strikes. I guess we're out. All right, so we'll keep you posted on if there's any fixes. I can't imagine getting any more sun, despite, I mean, maybe you're gonna get a little bit better with, say, like middle of summer, but I don't think it's gonna work. So that's what we want to know. So we'll see you on the next one. Thanks.